What's
back,
up,
ladies.
people? Welcome back. My name's Matt at the Real King Pilled Show. My name's Dill O'Reilly, and this is the Zero Spin Place. And that is my host at Cooper Brooks.
That's right. Well
What's
done,
up,
sir.
people? Did I vamp long enough? If not, I can rant about something.
Thank you, Tallahassee Pete. We actually don't need the vamping. I was able to find what I was looking for.
I can
actually
rant
found
for a
some
minute,
good
though.
ones. You got something good to rant on?
Oh, maybe. I don't know if it's good, but I can rant.
Yeah.
So, hey, guys in the chat, did any of you guys watch the Fallout series on Amazon Prime? Because I did watch season 1 over the last few days, and I gotta say, my expectations were very low.
Why was that? Why were your expectations so low?
A number of reasons why my expectations were low. One, literally every single video game to TV adaptation that's ever been done ever have been trash. Like Halo's a great example. Halo had the potential to be glorious, and they just totally fucked that pig. And so there's that. Secondly, it's Amazon, and they had the Rings of Power, and then they had Wheel of Time, so they've already just totally raped like the dead corpse of two of my favorite IPs. So I figured they were going to do the same thing. The next thing is, obviously, I was concerned about the gay race communism. I assumed there'd be quite a bit of that. I gotta say though, the gay race communism was minimal. It was there. You had like one transvestite, and you had, one of the protagonists is like, I don't know, black dude or something. So that, I don't know. You could get away with it, and there's probably some. Maybe this is just cope, but you could come up with some lore friendly ways to dismiss these things. So it was okay. And if you overlook those things, if you ignored it, it was actually a pretty good series, I gotta say. Though there is one character, one of the three main protagonists, not Walton Goggins, who is freaking awesome. Not the chick who is a woman, but the black dude, Maximus. That guy is okay. This is going to be a little like inside baseball for people who are Fallout fans. This dude is like running a pure luck build with the idiot savant perk, and he's just running through the wasteland because I gotta say, man,
How's that again?
Just clapping because that dude is just kind of George Costanza his way through the whole first season. He just constantly oscillates between like doing something badass and something totally retarded, and he should have been executed like 3 times, but instead ends up getting promoted every time. Which if he's running a luck build, that does kind of make sense, but I'm still not sure what to think of that character. In any case, would I recommend it? Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was pretty entertaining. Interested to see where they take it in season 2. It could be good, or it could be really bad. So we'll see.
I guess since they surpassed your expectations once, maybe they'll do it again.
Maybe. Or maybe they'll get extra gay race communism.
2-Bit Podcast has been a member for 7 months of the King Pilled. Thank you, Jason, at the 2-Bit Podcast, for being part of the King Pilled. He says, you can't stop the rock. That's right. Today, we're actually going to be referencing, when we get to our main subject in a little while after we wander off on some tangents, then we're actually going to be addressing one of our good friend Jason's key predictions, the prediction of the Neotrads. The Neotrads are back, folks.
Hey, can you do the American radio voice, Matt?
I don't know quite what the American radio voice is.
I'm horrible at trying to do like impressions or impersonations, so I could try, but I would totally botch it.
Is it like the Mid-Atlantic accent, or is it like the jock? Like, welcome to Rick and Morty in the morning, or whatever it is.
No, I was thinking, okay, those are both two like archetypes. You have like the NPR one, which is the first you referenced, and then you have that. I was thinking more of the like kind of 1950s sort of tin can sound, like "Hello, everybody." I can't do it. I can't do
Oh
it.
yeah.
Um, Oh, okay. He's saying that's it. Shock jocks.
The shock jock. Okay, I guess yeah. Maybe I can do. I don't know if I can do a shock jock or not. I think you just kind of like do a goofy voice, but you keep the out of it. Oh gosh, Mickey.
Matthew, woohoo! I'm gonna fuck you up, Goofy. Goofy, quit being a bitch.
Wow. Gosh, Mickey. What are you so upset about?
I'm gonna break your fucking knees.
Oh my god. I don't know why, but that just reminded me of the other day at church when we're attending a new church for the first time. We went and checked out a Romanian Orthodox church because it was a friend's birthday, and we wanted to see the Romanians. So we're at this church for the first time, and Eastwood just decided that he was in a mood, and he's like, we're trying not to make a really like bad impression at our first time at a new church, and finally at one point, like, we look down and Eastwood has just laid himself down on the like brick or concrete floor, and he's swinging his arms, sliding it back and forth on the floor, and just starts shrieking at the top of his lungs. Just, ah! We're like, dude, I mean, like, he's 3.5, but he's been attending an Orthodox church as long as he can remember. He's very familiar with the setting. He's usually a little kind of hyper, but like a 3-year-old, but like he knows how to be quiet for church. Nope, just lays down on the ground and starts writhing around going, ah! We're like, what are you doing, man? What's wrong with you? Oh, man. But then, of course, he goes and he does stuff like, let me see if I could share this here. Yeah, let's see. Share screen. My beloved wife just posted a picture that he drew. Let me make sure I don't dox anyone here. And window. Let's make sure this works. Share. Go. There we go. So this is a picture that my beloved son drew of me. This is me. What is the caption here? He's smiling and eating. This is my esophagus down here at the bottom. And then these are my hips on either side. So in the mind of a 3-year-old. He's actually, it's been kind of crazy how he just started like drawing recently. And he can't really write letters or numbers or anything, but he comes up with some really creative stuff. I think he might actually have an artistic bone in his body.
I just sent you a picture that my little one drew a little while back. It's in your Discord DMs. If you would like to share those.
Oh, yeah, I'll share that.
Share that.
Uh-oh, people are going to know your name now, Cooper.
You mean it's not Tallahassee Pete?
It is not Tallahassee Pete. There we go. Let's see if we can make this a little bit easier to see, perhaps.
Can you zoom in? Control zoom?
I don't know if that'll work on... Oh, yeah, it does.
Hey, look at that. It's so it's a picture. It says mom, orange fruit, or maybe fruit orange. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be from left to right or top to bottom. I don't know. And then there's a picture of presumably her, with my wife or my daughter. I'm not sure, but holding 2 orange fruits, and there's an E at the end of fruit. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is a threat. I'm not sure if this is a like to mom orange fruit. Like, look, orange fruit. Like, I'm not exactly sure what the tone was.
It's like yay old, spelled with an E. Yay old fruit, fruity.
Yeah.
Yay oldie.
I like if you look at her R's, like in orange, they look like jellyfish. Oh, the fruit's missing one.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, so this is supposed to be the R here. FRUIT. And this is sort of like a hybrid EF.
Yeah.
So it's like a froof.
The R in fruit looks like a lollipop.
Yeah, it does. And this one does look like a jellyfish. ORANG. There's an extra letter here. Do you know what this is?
I think that was an accident. That's supposed to be the G.
Oh, and this G got scribbled out.
Yeah,
I
right.
see. Yeah. So Orange. There we go.
And then there's some scribbles around the orange fruit. I'm not sure what that's about. But Mom, orange fruit. It's hanging on the wall next to my bed.
So wholesome. Which one was
Mhm.
which kid was the one that did that?
Emmy.
It was Emmy. Yeah. Kyle says, "Is the stream freezing for anyone else, or is it my Wi-Fi?" Okay, a couple other people say it's just fine for them. So Kyle, come on, got to give
That
it the
is your
program
Wi-Fi.
in. Man, you guys are doing pretty good. 26 viewers so far, 17 likes. That ratio is not too bad.
You're learning.
Yes, we're training you well. Do us a
I wish
favor if
there
you
was
haven't
a
hit that like button yet, hit it again.
wish there was a button we could push that would like shock their hand on their phone or spray water at them. Could really condition them.
Especially if it did like what do you call it? Like Three Stooges sound effects with it. like,
Mhm.
like it like goes honk honk and like sprays them,
Yeah.
sprays them in the face or something.
Honk.
Bop. Well, welcome to King Pilled. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, or if you're not joining us for the
A
first
dog
time.
clicker. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah. Dog.
Yeah, we
clicker
should do
rules.
that. Like over the next few episodes, every time we bring up clicking the like button, we'll ring a bell.
Uh-huh.
And then after like 3 or 4 episodes, we'll ring the bell and people will
Ding,
start
ding.
drooling
Yeah.
and maybe click like.
That's right. That's right.
We won't even have to mention it anymore.
Yeah, all I'll do is just keep a little bell here, and I'll just go ding. So it's funny. We've Cooper and I were talking this morning. We've been just kind of like what we choose to talk about, just whatever it is that comes to mind. It's usually he and I are talking about something, and then that's right. That's right. You guys get us. You guys are so we'll be sitting here talking about something, and then we'll be like, "Hey, we should talk about this on the show," and so then we go talk about it on the show, and it's starting to seem like either we happen to be following whoever the cutting edge people are, and they're subtly implanting thoughts in our minds that we're talking about, or everybody else is following us. I don't know what it is, but it seems like now every time we start talking about a subject, I'd loop Jason in here too with his neo trads or his trad Z as he's wanting to call them.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like we're either just ahead of or just behind the cutting edge. Either way, we're pretty close to it because we started talking about this gender dynamics thing, this masculine, feminine, the what would you say, like the e-thoughts versus the chuds. We started talking about this stuff, and now everyone's talking about it. It just so happens,
be
like
fair,
3
though-
days after our first episode, this new meme format drops that just perfectly illustrates exactly what we're
However,
talking
we've
about.
only been talking about that on the show for the past 3 streams or whatever, and I guess for a 4th one now. But you and I have been talking about that particular topic for like a year and a half at this point.
Yes. Yeah, this was actually one of the reasons, like one of the things that we restarted the show really just to talk about was all the different thoughts that were in and amongst this idea of the masculine versus feminine archetypes and the way that they are born out in society and what this means for men, how men must behave and act and all this sort of stuff. So we've been talking about this, and it was just kind of like a thing that was on our minds. So we decided to do an episode on it, and then we got some responses, so we did a second episode on it. And I didn't really expect to go beyond that.
Maybe, okay, so euthanasia says, see, holding in the coom gives you the psychic powers. Maybe that's it.
right.
Maybe
That's
that's
right.
it. See, we told you.
Uh-huh.
You know, Matt, I was thinking, like, maybe we should, like, switch or something as far as who's hosting Restream and stuff. Since I'm the guy who's, like, monitoring the chat, maybe it would make sense that I'm able to click on the chat and all of that.
Yeah, maybe.
Bring it up on
yeah.
screen. Maybe that would be a smart idea.
We'll do that
Instead
next
of
time.
me
I'll
having
give
to
you-
interrupt you every 30 seconds to be like, look at what this person in the chat said.
That's actually a really good idea. That'd be kind of nice then. I don't have to manage everything while I'm trying to talk too.
Yeah. We're
So-
professional.
We talked about this a couple of times, and then we were just like, okay, we're ready to go find our new subject to think and talk about. But then we got the big spurg out. People started freaking out. We're like, oh, well, now we have to talk about it again. Like, we have to talk about it again just specifically because people are getting big mad about it. And so we did a third episode on the same subject. And then I've been really busy the last few days and just had to like barely got my schedule blocked off today to do a show. And so I figured we would be talking about something else, maybe, you know, Israel and Iran or something like that. But then Cooper hits me up and he goes, "Hey, have you seen this wife jack meme?" And I was like, "I'm sort of vaguely aware of it, but like what's the story behind it?" And so he started explaining it to me, and man, this is just the absolute perfect distillation of exactly what we're talking about. This here, the wife jack meme, is the GOONUCH litmus test.
Yep.
Now, I'll say this: if you're not on Twitter, then this might be a little hard to follow. I don't know. The meme
It's got
culture
it, dude.
is
It
very
has to have broken out of Twitter by this point.
I would imagine. Yeah, this is typically how it goes. Like you have there's a meme that develops on Twitter and everyone talks about it on Twitter for like a week or two, and then eventually it hits Instagram and TikTok, and you know, then your friends on Facebook post a meme and they're like, "Hey, look at this new meme I found," and you're like, "Oh, you know, you're the old grizzled veteran of Twitter." It's like that's old news. That's, you know, that's at least
that's
7
so
24-hour
last
news
week.
cycles back.
Yeah. Get up to speed, dude.
Glonk Respecter, he says you could legit tell who hates women by how they portrayed the meme.
Bingo.
Exactly. So let me let's try to explain the meme here a little bit for
yeah, Kyle says a lot of people I generally like are posting the worst shit with this meme. This is what we're gonna get at. These people that you're referencing, Kyle, they need to be purged.
Yes.
Don't follow them. You can't trust these people. Anyway,
this is the litmus test. If they're failing this, that means a lot. So this is the wife jack meme. This is one of our favorite posters, Aristophanes. So it's from the soy jack compilation. If you don't know the soy jack thing, like I don't know, like you've had 10 years at least to understand the soy jack meme.
Wojacks become a thing.
Which I guess soy jack was an evolution on Wojak. I don't actually know the background of the Wojak story.
Let's go to knowyourmeme.com. Continue. I'll do some research.
Okay. He was
at least this posting for the Wojak meme was 8 years ago, so it's been around a while.
Okay, yeah. He was originally the feels guy or something like that, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So then people have added all sorts of different adaptations to it, but this is probably one that you're at least gonna want to. This episode, you're probably gonna want to watch the stream on YouTube if you're listening to this on the podcast later on. This is gonna be a very visual episode, so you might want to just watch it on YouTube. At the very least, you can go look for wife jack, and you'll see it's all one word with no C, just WIFEJAK, and you'll see the image. So it's this image of just kind of a sort of plain looking chick, reddish hair, just very simple, plain looking, kind of cute, but not like being portrayed as gorgeous, just kind of a simple, ordinary chick. And the commentary along that started out with it was something like this. Now this is very funny. The wife jack meme, women don't get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like a total Rorschach test.
And what's funny is women don't get it, and single men don't get it. This is like a meme that in order to get this meme, you have to either be married or like in a serious long-term relationship where you live with a woman.
Not just like single men per se, but a very particular type of single man. Because Xavier totally got it. He's a single fella. It's a very particular, specific brand of single guy. The kind that we've been ranting about the past few streams. Like at best, like okay, even that can be bifurcated. You have some who just don't get it, and then you have some who are very cynical.
And that's the GOONUCH, the one that gets really cynical about it. So here's a good example from Aristophanes. He posts the picture of wife jack, and then he's quoting wife jack. He says, "Standard deduction, what's that? Hey, do you remember how many shirts we gave to Goodwill last year? I'm trying to save us money." Now, this particular one is hilarious because my beloved wife, we have this conversation basically every single year. She says, She starts like totaling up all of our expenses and everything, and I kind of do some rough math in my head, and I'm like, it's not going to be worth all the time to do all that. We're not even going to reach a standard deduction. Let's just take the standard deduction, and we have the same conversation every single year. Now this is fine. It's not her job to know these kinds of things.
Well, okay, maybe it'd be good to take a little detour and explain what this meme was being used for, how it started out. The point of the meme is that basically people, it's kind of a, I was going to say like looking glass self thing, but like looking glass wife thing. Basically, everybody can just read their wife into this. So you post this picture, this meme, and then you quote all the cutesy, dumb retard shit that your wife says. That's really endearing and, and fun. The whole thing is just, it's wholesome, or at least for the first like 24 or 48 hours. It was really nice.
Like,
and
what's
wholesome.
the like watching a movie with your wife? And
yeah, right. What's happening? Why is he doing that? What does that mean? What happened? Like I'm watching this for the first time too. I don't know. Maybe watch the movie, wife.
So if you're a man who lives with a woman or has spent extensive time with a woman, you get this. All the little things that women do and say that men who love those women find really cute and charming and endearing. Even if
and also kind of
they're kind of exasperating, but it's exasperating in kind of a cute and charming way. I think there was, let me see if I had some others here. Okay, yeah, hear this one.
Yeah. Their feminine mystique.
From Doomsday Slam, he says, or here was the original one. So someone did an adaptation on it with the, I don't know what the name is for the eyes, but like the Bitcoin eyes
or whatever those are.
So wife Jack with the Bitcoin eyes, you use my nice towels to wipe the floor? This guy says, I bought new decorative hand towels for the kitchen. The towels absorb no liquid at all.
Oh my God.
I thought they looked cute and they were on sale and went with the placemats I bought last week for future Christmas holidays.
You have no times I've had that conversation at least once a year. Guess what my kitchen drawer is full of? Decorative towels that don't absorb any liquid.
Yes.
That were on sale.
And they matched.
And they went with the placemats.
Yeah. So here's another one. Now this is interesting because you and I, when we were talking about this morning, Cooper, you said that like we'll never know where Wife Jack came from because that's how a lot of these memes work. Who knows who actually created it in the first place? And then I was starting to look through some of these tweets, and this supposedly is actually where it came from. This is 3 years ago on Reddit.
3 years ago. All right.
Yes. So it just got pulled out. So who knows where it actually came from to be used as this particular application of it. But this chick posts this wife jack that she created and said, haven't drawn in a while, so I figured a Wojak of myself would be a fun little project with a smiley face. And Eigenrobot said the best part about Wife Jack is that its origin story is itself extremely Wife Jack. Women be doing fun little projects. This is a perfect example. Like a woman wants to sit down and draw a little Wife Jack of herself because she thinks it's kind of cute and it's a fun little project. This is adorable. This is charming.
Yeah.
We love it when women do these kinds of things. This is good. This should be nurtured. Then you get some adaptation. So now you have Husband Jack. So this guy tweeted, my wife made and brought my coffee this morning because she loves me. And so he posts Husband Jack with a big kiss in the forehead and said, thank you, Wife Jack. Here's another one. Shout out Dead Man Red on Twitter. Says the wife says, I'm going to start baking bread, Chud Jack. And Chud Jack says, hell yes, Wife Jack. I just got these new supplements some Anon told me about. And she says, I love you, Chud Jack. And he says, I love you, Wife Jack.
I'm dubious of this scenario.
Yeah, right. Here's another Husband Jack. She's called Wife Jack, and she just says things a wife might say. That's the perfect example of the Wife Jack meme right there.
Yes.
We call her Wife Jack. She says things a wife might say. Let's see. I have so many of these saved. So before we get into the negative ones, here's one from a woman. Very moisturized. Is this actually a woman? Yeah, it looks like it's actually a woman. She says, maybe. Yeah. She says,
what is it, Chuck? Go see our last episode. We talked the last two episodes we talked about.
Yep. The Chud chud is kind of a neutral term, but it can also it began derogatorily and it can kind of be used derogatorily. But there's people who have embraced it and said, hell yeah, that's right, I'm a chud. It's one of those.
Thanks for the super chat.
Thank you. Yeah.
Online right wing Twitter spurgs, basically. Simply put.
So this one says, she says, wife jack and husband jack memes playfully express that both sexes regress into a mentally infantile state within the cocoon of a safe and loving relationship. It's so cute. I love it. So here's a woman who gets it.
That's the only woman who gets it.
But she gets it in just the way that a woman would get it.
Right.
And this guy says, saw one where the wife points out how the garbage is full. My wife does this to me 3 times a week. And I really like this guy's response. Someone said, what does that mean to you? And he said, 1, she creates so much garbage. 2, she's adorable. 3, I should pay more attention and take out the garbage before she gets triggered. This guy gets it. Some guy says she could also take it sometime. It's not a man's job. And he said, that's technically true. She calls it a boy job, though. Any gross ones fall into that category. It's insanely adorable and endearing, and I enable it to the fullest. I married me a princess. I knew what I was getting into.
That guy right there who's like, she should also take it out sometimes. It's not a man's job. That guy's a GOONUCH. Fuck that guy.
Yes, there's a GOONUCH. A GOONUCH, a live one in the wild.
Yeah, take out the trash, man. Come on.
Yes. This is another wife jack thing. A boy job.
Well, and you gotta okay.
That job's yucky. I don't want to do that job.
Well, not only that, it's like they're like physically incapable of doing it insofar as like the same way you have to take like a jar, like a woman will bring a jar to you so you can open it for her because she doesn't have the grip strength to turn it for some reason. It's the same thing with like the trash bag. Like they can like tie it shut and then pull it up maybe this far, but they can't get their arm up here for. They can't think like, hey, maybe turn it on its side and slide it out. They're just like, I can't get it. I'm too short.
Yes. And this is
it's like the water bottle. It's like the water bottle meme, or the water bottle test.
Oh yeah, you guys.
Line.
Hold on. We got to share this one. If people don't know this, water bottle test, men, women. Is this? Yes. The 70-year cognitive puzzle that still divides the sexes. This is a perfect example. So. Here's the image. You'll have to, if you're not watching, again, like I said, you guys have to watch the video for this episode. Figure A shows a glass with some water in it. In figure B, the glass has been tilted. Draw a line to show where the water line would be. Now, men, look at this. You should be if you're a man, you should see where the water line should be. For some weird reason, it only rare women can see this. I'm sure we're going to have someone in the chat that's a woman who knows where it's supposed to be. But for whatever reason,
you're the exception.
Yes. There's data for this, and I'm pretty sure it's further down. I don't want to scroll down.
Even like college age women, like degrees, professional women, high IQ, above average, upper end of the bell curve, for whatever reason, their brains just can't do this.
Yeah. It's something having to do with spatial reasoning. Like men's brains are just more naturally adapted for spatial reasoning than women. Logan Daly says, or actually before that, JG said, we don't want our women acting like men. Yes, that's right. Logan Daly says, I'm about 25 minutes late. What is a GOONUCH? We've done a couple episodes on the GOONUCHs. Just look for those. Essentially, it's a portmanteau of gooner and eunuch. So it's an ostensibly right-wing guy who is actually advertising nihilism and gayness. Okay, so let's scroll down here and see. Oh, okay. So first of all, obviously the answer is that it's going to be right. It's the line is going to. I don't even. Can you guys see my mouse? Yeah. Okay. So the line's going to come right along here, somewhere in that range. I don't know exactly how high up it's going to be, but somewhere in that range. And it's going to be a straight line across. For whatever reason, women will do like this. Or I don't know why it is. For whatever reason, women just don't get it. So these are these some of the? I think these are some of the examples. Maybe. Piaget distinguished 5 stages in the developing ability of children to solve the puzzle. The first stage is drawing squiggly lines, basically a big middle finger pointing in the direction of the researcher. That would be my son. Then the lines follow the bottom of the containers. In the third stage, the line starts tilting, as if trying to negotiate the gravity from the earth with the gravity from the bottom of the container. In the fourth stage, they figure it out in all cases where straight angles are involved, but get it wrong whenever the glass is tilted. In the fifth and final stage, they get it right. The children reached the final stage by age 9, and there was nothing to indicate that adults would have any difficulty with the task. That was until one Rebel Sky, true to the rebel part of her name, came along and disturbed the waters by reporting that some of her graduate and undergraduate students had great difficulty correctly completing the task. But most importantly, quoting, in addition, Rebel Sky reported that females were less accurate than males, a finding that has been replicated by virtually all subsequent researchers. Number of hypotheses have been proposed as to why women underperform men so much. My favorite is socialization. If you think that amounts to trying to explain why women have less experience with drinking glasses of water compared to men, you're right. That's what that means. But there's, I think that's probably the gist of that. Just that's, for whatever reason, women just don't.
They can't draw the water line correctly.
Right. Now, if you encounter something like this, and your response is like, "Oh, fucking retarded women, dumb bitches." Like, oh, they're so stupid. Like, why can't they just figure out this stupid, simple thing? You're a Goonuk. That is Goonuchery. It is charming and adorable that women can't figure this out.
Uh-huh. I've tested this.
If a woman can figure this out, it makes her less adorable. So if you're a woman out there and you're like, well, I know the answer. If you come and you type the answer and I know I got it right, and we're going to tell you that you're less cute.
My 6-year-old son was able to figure this one out. My wife was not. She drew the line wrong. And so did my daughters.
I can't remember if my wife did or not. I think I've tried it on
I
her.
think she did it right. I think Amy did it right.
She did, yeah.
Like, have you ever drinking a glass of water? Ladies, come on.
I think it has to do with the spatial reasoning. And there's some element of being a shape rotator or something. I don't know.
You can't separate the variables. You just, like, one big picture. You're just looking at literally the picture and being like, what happens if I turn the picture?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Women.
So I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go. So this was the one. The other one you sent.
Yeah, Kate says she thought the line was. So you did it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Like, this doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Who cares if you could do it right? It's a curious little oddity. But as soon as this meme started going around, where the meme was going to be taken was obvious. It was obvious what was going to happen with it. So, we got a $5 super chat from Euthanasia. Thank you, man. He says, I believe I heard this from Pete Q. It's a quote attributed to Renee Guinan. I'm such a misogynist that I can't even blame women for their mistakes. That's funny. I like that. So this one here, this guy, Ladies of Reddit, said, we're about 24 hours from this meme transforming from something low stakes and lighthearted into bitter woman hate. Enjoy it while you can.
Yep.
This is, and I would have predicted that this was going to happen. Cooper predicted that this was going to happen. He shared these with me the other day before it went south. Because for the first, 24 to 48 hours, this was all those memes that we were showing you. That's all it was. It was this sweet, lighthearted, charming, wholesome. Like, this is like the neo-trad spirit coming. It's percolating up. People are now starting to revert back to, like, man, it's nice to just have a woman be a woman and just revel in her womanness, appreciate her for being a woman. And you could tell really distinctly which people posting this were married and which ones weren't.
Yep.
Because the ones that, like he says, the meme now, I lost my AirPods. There's another wife jack one. I lost my AirPods. The meme in 24 hours. You're not 6 feet tall and don't make six figures. Meet my boyfriend, Chad. I'm a roasty. I'm a single mom.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. So this guy says, new meme for wife guys to come out and openly admit they are miserable and that women are insufferable, stupid skanks. Same guys will still shame you for being an incel. Wild.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
There's a Goonuk. Who is this?
Guys.
Plethanist has been identified. The 15th century Byzantine ideologue, you've been identified as a Goonuk. And the OP says, incels cannot comprehend a meme involving a woman that isn't about being miserable. Sorry, Virgin, but this is a warm and wholesome one.
Yep.
Yes. It is warm and wholesome to have your beloved little retard wife. This is a charming, wonderful, lovely thing, because you know what? What she's not is some mouth-breathing, porn-brained degenerate.
Like
which is what guys are when they don't have a woman constraining them. So here you go. Here's some examples. I feel like this is more of a situationship. So it's getting appropriated now. It's getting appropriated by all the bitter cynics.
Mm-hmm.
I've met someone. Fort Worth Playboy is a GOONUCH. And then the other one was our good buddy Revenant. Let me see if I can find the tweets.
He had a bunch of them.
He had a whole bunch, yeah. Let me see if I can find. So here's one. He said he shared some examples of these GOONUCHs. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I feel like this is more of a situationship. I've met someone. He said, wife jack is personally offensive to these guys because they've never known what it's like to be the leading figure in a woman's life.
Yep.
Making wife jack say, I've met someone else is really just you saying, Heather left me and I never recovered.
Yep.
And this guy says, yes, but it's this figure most of the time, $signs. And he said, when my wife and I first met, I was dirt poor and surviving off gig work. We fought for success and got it. Now we live very comfortably. If a woman really wants you, she will make it work. These are all, let me see if there was some other, I think I shared some other ones here, or I saved some other ones. But there's a lot of interesting things to this story for me. Here's one. Here's a Revenant one. The wife jack and a husband jack. The wife jack meme kind of reminds me of the Asian wife meme. Oh, husband. Have you seen that one?
We're going to be homeless.
Yeah. You lost all our money gambling. Now we will be homeless. Was it, who was it that was talking to me about the Lululemon thing? Was that you?
Mm-hmm.
The story of where the name for Lululemon came from?
Yeah. The guy who started it thought it was funny that Asians couldn't pronounce L's. So he called it Lululemon. So he could laugh at them.
Lululemon! So here's a good
I remember,
one
dude, a funny story. I went to a sushi restaurant. This was probably last year sometime. Went to a sushi restaurant with my family. And, we're asking the server. My son, it's his turn to pick out what drink he wants. And we asked the server what they have for kids. She said one of the options was Lemonade. And Deacon was like, what's Lemonade? I'm like, yes, get that.
Remonade. I'm looking at some of the other comments here. This meme is the healing the sexes need. None of the memes are implying the guy is miserable. The meme works because we tolerate it because we love them. It's a fair trade. So this one here, the husband jack one. Why do you do that? Do what? Just leave your shorts on the couch like that. I'm going to need them later. So put them away and get them back out. No. Our house is not like a video game where you can just drop an item wherever and it's there 5 hours later. And then it is, though. So there's a few things that are interesting about this to me. One of them is just the way that these sorts of stories kind of evolve and develop. So you get this meme. Magoo says in the chat, it's Conquest's rarely known fourth law. Nothing can last on Twitter for more than 24 hours before it becomes co-opted. Yes. So these sorts of memes, they bubble up, and someone starts using them, and somebody else figures it out, and then you can almost track the way that it's going to make its way through the internet. And then just the same, you can predict what is going to happen with it. We've seen this happen so many times now that if you have a cute, wholesome meme, it is going to be co-opted and turned into something nihilistic and cynical and degenerate.
Mm-hmm.
What type of mind do you think takes something that's cute and wholesome and turns it into something nihilist and cynical and degenerate? This is not a healthy mind. This is not the mind of a person who has a stable, happy life. This is not the mind of a person who you should be listening to or amplifying. These are pathetic, miserable men who think that their problems, who don't want to accept that their problems are with themselves. They want to blame women for their problems, or they want to blame the Jews, or they want to blame the blacks, or they want to blame the immigrants, or they want to blame the communists, or they want to blame the neo-libs, or they want to blame the neocons, or they want to blame... You've got a whole long list of people you can run through. You'll never run out of people to blame. But every single one of these guys, if he's miserable, it's his own fault. His desire to project this misery and cynicism onto other people is just a clear example of misery loves company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to couch it in like, oh, look how based I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
they want you rolling around in the mud with them.
Yes. This is the epitome of the crying soy jack with the smug jack on his face. That's exactly what these guys are. Maybe it's the alpha Chad guy on his face, but he's actually a crying soy jack underneath. Mm-hmm. This is what so many of these... I've got great respect for a lot of my anonymous posters. Like Aristophanes. Fantastic poster. Revenant. These guys are anonymous. They're tremendous posters. But there's a lot of guys who are anonymous because they're a bunch of whiny, bitter little cucks who don't dare show their actual face.
Yep.
This person, that Ladies of Reddit person said, Wife Jack Gate has made it clear that... You don't have to add gate on it, dude. Wife Jack Gate has made it clear that you need to love women in order to attract women. If you're a woman hater, you will never be the leading figure in a woman's life. Affectionate wife jack portrayals signal security and abundance. Anti-woman wife jacks signal fear and neediness. Yeah, all these like super based guys who they're super based because of how they're how much they hate women. They're just signaling to other men like themselves.
Yeah.
They're just men trying to connect and establish relationships with other men. And there's nothing wrong with men establishing relationships with other men. But if you're a man who's establishing relationships with other men on the basis of how much you hate women, there's a word for that. It's gay.
Right, and here's a layer or another layer of how it's gay. I was like, okay, so this is going to seem kind of tangential, but you know how like I remember a couple years ago, I was taking my youngest, who is just sweet little pixie princess, loves rainbows and colors and all sorts, total girl, typical girl. And I remember I was going for a walk with her around the block, and we see across the street we see a flag. We see one of the LGBT blah 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 flags, the rainbow and all the colors and stuff like that. And she would have been 3 at the time, and she's like, I want one. And it was at that moment that it clicked for me. Like, oh, and it's like the Oren McIntyre side, they just want to diddle kids. It's like that's exactly it.
Oh yeah.
And you got to think like, okay, because these people who are part of that, that conglomeration of protected classes is sterile. They cannot reproduce. So how else do they reproduce but to predate on children and corrupt children? It's like satanic reproduction. Likewise, this is another way in which the GOONUCH stuff is gay. These guys, these posters and these thought leaders in the right-wing dissident sphere who are selling you the nihilism, couching it in basedness, what they're doing, they're all subversive. Keep that in mind. Yes, they're really smart guys. They have some really great points and insights, and that's all true. But for like a young guy who's in your late teens, early 20s or something, you're a little autistic, you're a little too online, which is basically every guy now who's like younger than 21. And you're already a little, maybe insecure, especially around the ladies and stuff. These guys are leeching onto they're like grabbing onto your mind and trying to suck your brain out. They're trying to turn you into them because they're sterile. And they want more of you. They want more of them. That's how they reproduce themselves into the world. Taking a bunch of young guys, cucked, fearful, bitter, resentful. These people are subversive, and they need to be. I mean, I hate to say the movement, but they need to be purged.
Mm-hmm.
We need a wall for them.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot build a civilization with these people. They will just all they do is deconstruct all day, 24/7. They will tear down anything you're trying to build. Block all of them. Mute all of them. Don't listen to them. They're not serious.
Mm-hmm.
They are evil.
They're subversives, like you said.
Yep.
They are framing themselves as the guys who hold the wisdom and the secrets to success and how to have a functioning civilization. They're going to tell you all sorts of romantic tales about Greece or Rome or whomever. But this is all subversion. Real, authentic, civilizational building right-wing men are not cynical and nihilistic about women, like by definition. Here's an example. Well, actually, two things here, real quick. This is just I realized I had this this save from the other day. We were talking about this, and as I was looking at the first few lines in this tweet, I realized this is a wife jack meme. He says most dudes have zero idea how the average woman actually perceives the world. She has zero idea what car you drive. An old C8 is a McLaren. A 40K Cayman is a 911. Like, there's a wife jack thing. Like, oh, look at that car. It'd be like might be like a $500,000 nice sports car, and she's gonna be like, I don't like that color. And it could be like freaking, I don't know, like a Maserati, and it's gonna be her most favorite car imaginable. Or it might be even it might be like a Kia. Like what's the Kia sort of sporty sedan? I don't remember what it's called anymore.
What's that car? It's like maybe it's a hatchback or something. I don't know. All the like lesbian chicks really like it. Not a Subaru. Well, the Subaru, but that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of it's similar. In any case, everything I've ever read about them, at least on like a technical front, suggests that they're really shitty cars that don't hold up. But my wife is in love with them because that's her thing. They're like they tickle something aesthetically for her or whatever.
Okay, so then the other thing I was going to share was this one. Whoops. See, now this guy here. Oh, what the hell? Where did my tweet go?
Ah!
Whoa. Like, oh, this is really shitty. All of my bookmarks just like reorganize themselves into who knows what order. And I got to try to scroll down. They're all completely out of order now. Okay, here we go. So this guy here. Share Mini Cooper. She wants a Mini Cooper.
Well, she's got two of them.
Magoo. I know I put this tweet somewhere, Jack. This is husband Jack. I saved this tweet to show you. So there's this guy here, goofy looking guy squatting next to a thing. This is dog friendly, child free. And Moschino Dorito. I've never seen this guy, but he's just a good example. I don't think he's necessarily a political. He looks like he's more of just a social media personality, but he says, don't much care for kids. Most people don't want to be around them if they can help it. Sorry that you have a weird primal rage for 21st century young adults not wanting to deal with parenthood and child rearing. By all means, go have some kids. No one is stopping you. Please go shit out some kids that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to raise during global financial collapse, World War III, and a climate meltdown. We really need that. Wouldn't want to become some cucked, soy-faced, matcha-drinking, childless beta.
Coward.
This guy's just putting a bit of a finer point on it like a shit lib, but this is the exact same person.
Yep.
All the guys that are turning the wife jack into like this cynical commentary on how shitty women are, this is their spirit animal.
Yeah.
And they're not going to like hearing that. They don't want to be associated with this guy, but that's what they are. I don't care what your justification is. Why else do you exist? You just exist for the sake of your own like hedonistic pleasure for 70 or 80 years and then just no more family line, no future, no building anything. never fully maturing as a human being.
I mean, the only difference between that guy and like the GOONUCH types is the GOONUCH types at least will ostensibly say that they do want the kids and they do want the legacy and they do want all of this and this and that, but they don't.
It's too much of a risk for him.
Yeah,
You know, it's
they
you got to
just like this guy. They're cowards.
Yes. Oh, the legal system. Oh, that's going to get you. Oh, the children are expensive. Oh, I'm going to have to earn extra money to pay for these kids that I can't pay on, I don't know, glory hole memberships. These are the same guys.
I did not expect you to say that.
I didn't either.
I was expecting you to say something like, I don't know, barista wagey or something. Sure, glory hole memberships.
Jeff says he has the mentality of an 8-year-old. Yeah, like I was thinking like maybe like a 15-year-old. Like, oh man, I'm not gonna have kids. I'm gonna go do cool shit, and I'm gonna fly around. I'm gonna travel, and I'm gonna climb mountains, and I'm gonna do all this. No, these guys just want to like go to concerts and like
dude,
go surfing and shit.
That's exactly it. Because I remember being like 16, 17 years old, and thinking like, pretending I'm all sophisticated. Like, oh, I don't think I really want children. And it's like, yeah. Because you're just graduating high school and you want to go sleep around and like party and shit. Like,
yeah, right.
And then you grow up, or in my case, you knock a lady up and you're forced to grow up.
Right. There was one other, and now I've got to. I really hope next time I open my bookmarks here that they're not going to be all out of order. Yep, they're way out of order. Oh, it's not even close. Holy crap. Okay, well, here's one funny one to share, and then here we go. This is the one I like. This was the I think this was the tweet that summed everything up. Let me.
Euthanasia says it's just post hoc rationalizing them being alone. Yep, that's it.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, we don't need to do the rest of the show. You just put it into a sentence.
Yep, it's everyone else's fault, not theirs.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to put myself at risk. It's too risky. It's not fair that I have to be. It's not fair that I might have to trust a woman. It's not fair that I might have to.
It's so insane.
Come into contact with the legal system.
It's just like, because when you really boil it down, like, what does it amount to? It amounts to like you don't want to like maybe have a woman tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just like reject. You sound like such a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You being these guys. No,
right.
You being euthanasia. You sound like such a bitch. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna just talk shit about euthanasia for the rest of the show.
Wait, did I miss something? Did euthanasia say something dumb, or are you just busting his balls?
I'm just busting his balls.
Oh, Kia Stinger. That's right. That's what I was thinking.
Because he was the last person who was on my mind.
Why me? I'm innocent. This one cracked me up. I've had enough of this wife jack. Send the drones. I think it would have been funnier if it was just like Abdul, get the rocks. I've had enough of this wife jack. Abdul, get the rocks. Okay, so then this was it here. It's hilarious how so much of the E-right has decided to follow the tried and true Fuentes/Groyper pipeline of becoming so bitter and hateful toward women for internet updoots that they meme themselves into becoming effectively gay.
Yep.
Yes.
Bingo.
Don't be gay.
Does Nick, just as an aside, I don't know because I don't follow the Groypers. I find them really insufferable.
Uh-huh.
Does Mr. Fuentes, does he have a lady?
I do not believe that he is in the market for one, shall we say. That's just what I've heard. I don't know. I don't really follow him that closely. I don't have a particular issue with him. I think a lot of the guys that follow him are insufferable retards. So I don't know how much that should reflect on him. But
yeah, he has a cat boy, doesn't he? I remember that.
Yeah, I've heard fairly. This is all purely internet rumor stuff, but I've heard fairly substantiated claims that he definitely is not now or will not ever be in the market for a lady, unless it's in the like 1950s Don Draper kind of sense.
Yeah, because the reason I bring him up, not really just like him specifically, but I bring him up because his whole milieu, his like the Groypers and all those dudes, those are the guys I primarily see pushing the cynical. You're taking the wife jack meme and using it cynically. It's that crowd. And they're all losers.
They're also extremely online, extremely active, and if you're a guy who wants to cater to an audience, I'm not saying this about Nick necessarily.
I don't know much about him.
I've heard enough stuff behind the scenes about him that I don't think he's a GOONUCH. I wouldn't consider Nick a GOONUCH. But a lot of the people want to pander to his audience because, I mean, think about it. If you're like an old miserable guy who's just bitter about whatever life choices you've made, maybe you got run through family court and got your ass handed to you and you're paying the price for the choices that you made, which I've got sympathy. Like, yeah, it's not just. Like that's a shitty situation to go through.
Yeah.
But the answer to that isn't go accumulate an audience of rabid young men and feed them nihilism and cynicism because they're super interactive and you can build up a rabid audience of fans who are going to amplify every single thing you say. Because you're preaching to the nihilism that they already feel. You're preaching to that cynicism already. That's what a lot of these guys are doing. It's predatory. It's like internet pederasty.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly. It's kind of that predatory, I don't know, thing again. That sterile. Logan Daly says, I have yet to form a full opinion on Fuentes. Yeah, same here. I don't really. From what I've seen, he's a very sharp guy. He's very talented, very entertaining. He also seems to be kind of an asshole all the time. Everything I see of him is just him being an asshole. So, like, as a fellow asshole, I can, I don't know. Cool. Like, I don't have a problem with that per se, but certainly the people who follow him are not my guys.
High Powered says, I would say the red pill should be a year or two experience, then you leave.
Bingo. Yeah, you have your red pill thing where you kind of like either that's you're bitter about women or whatever for a year or two or whatever. You learn all the the black pill stuff, or maybe you have your pickup phase or something. But just like get that over with as soon as possible and get on to being a man.
And you guys here are hearing from an accomplished Casanova. Cooper was well read in the deep lore of the red pill world.
The Hobbit lore.
Right, yeah. The thing with the red pill stuff is what would you say? Like they're number one, their guidance on how to talk to women, like how to interact with women, the way woman's mind works, how to pick them up, things like hypergamy and what's the other thing? Shit tests.
Yep.
All that stuff. Like their description of how men and women differ and the way that a man's mind works versus a woman's mind. All this stuff is actually very good.
It is. It's really solid because you basically just had a bunch of like internet autists who are just like, whoa, we have autism and we don't know how to pick up chicks. So we're just going to go run a bunch of experiments and then we'll report back to the fellas and we'll see what works. And they learned a lot. And like, yeah, I see some guys talk about like Rollo. Like, yeah, the rational male is there's a lot of cringe, but a lot of great stuff in that book. Let's see. Obviously The Game by Neil Strauss. That's a classic. There is a lot of good stuff there. If you're starting from zero, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, should I recommend these things to be? If you're starting from zero, yeah, it might not be a bad idea to at least start kind of putting your mind into like the other sex's shoes, kind of get an idea of how their brain works or whatever. But yeah, just get over that as soon as possible.
Jason says the red pill to orthodox pipeline needs to be explored. See Cyprian and Roosh. If you want to see a really, really profound, touching video, just look up Roosh and Father Spirit on Bailey and the conversation that they had. So Roosh was a big pickup artist guy, red pill guy from really early on. and he converted to Orthodoxy and completely left it behind. So he and his Father Spiridon Bailey have a really good conversation.
Yeah, which I think dovetails well off of the last few conversations we've had, very much in that same spirit. Kate J says, "Yeah, what I've learned about the Red Pill is that you've watched Red Pill content for a year, then you've pretty much watched all of it. It gets repetitive after a while. Yeah, basically, like you get the gist and like read a couple books, you got the gist, and then kind of move on with your life."
Mm-hmm. I think there's something really wholesome about the idea of a bunch of like internet autists who are like, we don't know how to talk to women, so we're just gonna turn this into a science experiment and like run a bunch of tests and log it all on spreadsheets and like test out different lines and do all this. Like it's very autism. It's just, and this would be like the husband jack kind of. This is like the man's version of the wife jack. What the wife jack is for the woman, like a bunch of autistic guys being like, all right, let's put our minds together and really autistically, analytically solve something dealing with like vibes and romance and all that sort of thing. Let's reduce it down to a formula and run it through all of our bros and double check it and figure out different techniques and then teach them to each other and keep track of it and be each other's wingman and all of this. This is very wholesome.
Well, and a lot of it, like, really, also, there was, at least early on, there's kind of that, like, self-improvement sort of angle, too. Like, oh, go to the gym, get in shape, like, take care of yourself, get clothes, like, learn some fashion sense, get to, present yourself well. There's a lot of, like, self-development that I think is really good, and that was really healthy. And then, just like the wife jack meme, after a while, these things get co-opted by the cynics, and yeah, then just become a total cesspool.
Mm-hmm. Got a couple of super chats here. High powered $5 US. Thank you, man. He says, used to be MGTOW. The red pill helps you understand what sort of minefield or rake that you can step on. Knowing is half the battle. Right, and that's what we're saying. Like you can learn that within a few months to a year. Like you can understand that, and I do think. Yes, it is a minefield. If you just go kind of sauntering out into the dating market and you don't have a full understanding of what reality is like right now, then you could step on a rake. I agree. But the takeaway from it should be what's happening with these guys that are getting really bitter and cynical is they're kind of like they might be like climbers who they get to like the Mount Everest base camp. And then they're sitting there at base camp and they're like, what? You mean I have to go another 10,000 feet? No, I'm already so high. I'm already at 20,000 feet in elevation. And oh, it's so hard to breathe up here. And it sucks. There's nothing to look at. And oh, this is terrible. And it's like, you're at base camp so you can go to the top. Like, yeah, it's going to suck when you have to climb the next 10,000 feet or however much it is. It's going to be hard to breathe. You might die. It sucks. This is the measure of a man. This is what men are made for. Men are made for encountering challenges and overcoming them. And if you shy away from the challenge because you're afraid of the consequences, you might as well just chop off your own balls.
Mr. High Powered, if I could ask, how old are you? And is there any ladies in your life right now? Are you married or like what's going on there? I'd be interested. If it like, are you like one of those guys who, like, are you older? Did you become MGTOW because you had a bad experience, or was it just like you were a young guy who was being inundated by the red pill, black pill stuff and went the MGTOW way? Like, what's your story there?
Magoo says, sorry, honey, no time for swooning till I finish my experiments on women's interests. $10 super chat from Euthanasia. Says, I recently got a pretty sweet job opportunity to help a friend rebuild his manufacturing business. I blame you guys and your recommendations. Just go do stuff. You likely know more than you think. Dude, this super chat just made my fucking month. This is what I like to hear. Just go do stuff. I'm honored that we may have had an influence on you toward doing this. Absolutely. Just go do stuff. Go do stuff. This is what men are supposed to do. Women go buy cutesy little tchotchkes and knickknacks and scatter them all throughout your house. Men just go do stuff. Just go fuck shit up and ask for forgiveness later on. Just figure it out as you go. Just start doing. I've been listening to a lot of Pace Morby lately, And I have been sufficiently shamed for any amount of inaction that I've had in my life.
Molyneux
Overthinking,
didn't.
overanalyzing.
Molyneux didn't start the red pill stuff.
No, he was sort of adjacent to it, but
and he talked about like the red pill stuff came out of like the pickup artist stuff. The pickup artist guys, right around the same time that the right wingers started using red pill, vis-a-vis Moldbug, the pickup artists also started using red pill, referring to different things. But
you were actually talking about Molly memes the other day. That
I wonder what he's up to.
Well, yeah, and you said you were impressed at how well he managed to stare into the abyss on this type of stuff and not have it turn him into a seething, coping loser.
Yeah, that's the thing is I got to give him credit. I don't know what he's up to these days. It's been a few years since I followed up with the old Molyneux, old Steph. But I do remember when I have listened to some of his streams in the past, like he would talk about the red pill stuff and he'd talk about the manosphere stuff and all of that, and he would take it seriously. But at the same time, he wasn't like this, these sniveling gooners. He didn't like devolve into the MGTOW shit. He was very much I don't know. He would hold guys' feet to the fire. He'd have his call-in show and have guys come on and be like, "You need to do this. You need to do this. Get your shit together." I did like that about Molyneux.
Random username says he bought a bunch of Bitcoin and had a kid. He still has a show. Kyle said he's on the same network as Owen Benjamin and Teddy Spaghetti.
Molyneux?
Good for him. Yeah.
Oh. He had another kid? Good for him.
Did you see High Powered replied to you? He said he's 31. Last relationship was about a year ago. Lasted better part of a year. Got into red pill after a really bad breakup. Definitely had a bad case if she's the one. Spent a few years in it around 2012 to 2014-ish.
Okay.
Okay, so then I wanted to highlight something else here. Euthanasia said, I've been listening to a lot of Alex Hormozy on your recommendations. Haven't made it to Morby. These are the two of the best guys that you could listen to. Alex Hormozy, Pace Morby. I'm going to make a point of saying this in every single episode that we do. Just go listen to Alex Hormozy and Pace Morby. If you have any questions, go listen to Alex Hormozy and Pace Morby. This doesn't mean you need to go follow their track necessarily. Alex Hormozy does basically building digital businesses. Pace Morby does buying and selling real estate and businesses and commercial real estate and all kinds of stuff. But just go listen to them to start taking on, by osmosis, taking on their worldview, their mentality. They don't have time for whining. They don't have time for excuses. And they will give you a metric shit ton of amazing insight into the business world, real estate, like anything, like any of those investing, business world, building businesses, selling, marketing, social media, all this stuff. Just general mentality stuff. We need this. Men need this. We don't have enough men gassing each other up. Everyone's fallen into this cynical nihilism, just kind of sitting around waiting for the nukes to drop. And we got shit to build. We need men building stuff. Not sitting around crying about how unfair it is. If there's some hurdle in your way, that's an opportunity to build something to overcome that hurdle and then help other guys do it too. Men need hurdles in front of them. All of this goonocry, this sitting around complaining that things are unfair, that there's a gynocracy, that it's rigged against us. Even expand this out to, the Jews they have their new plot, or the blacks are tearing apart our communities, or the immigrants are coming and taking and destroying all of our infrastructure, and they're going to rob all of our votes forever. All this stuff. Individually, every single one of these complaints has merit. But as a man, your responsibility is to turn complaints into opportunities, and turn those opportunities into capital, and turn that capital into generational wealth. This is your responsibility as a man. So when you come out and you say, oh, there's all these things, there's all these problems, all these hurdles, I have all these complaints, you're just advertising your own impotence. This is why you're a GOONUCH. You don't have to stay being a GOONUCH, but you're impotent. You're a eunuch. You're a eunuch that's still gooning. That's how you get goonic. That's how you get goonicry. It's a terminal illness for young men today to be exposed to this constant, relentless barrage of negativity and complaining and cynicism and nihilism. You're like this guy who's like, oh, fuck you, I'm gonna go on vacations. You can hang out with your shitty little kids. Yeah, that guy's gonna be alone when he's on his deathbed. Nobody's gonna remember him. He's going to be not even a blip on the trajectory of history. He's gonna leave no marks. He'll be completely forgotten. His bloodline will end. Because he didn't want to bother wiping some noses and changing some diapers and paying for a kid to come into the world and to raise a child is the best single experience that a human being can have. It sucks. It's annoying. It's expensive. It's exasperating. All of these things are true. And it's still the best, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, and I mean, okay. If we're being honest, it's not that expensive.
Right.
It's not that expensive. It doesn't have to be.
And in a way, when you're a man complaining about something being expensive, this is another, and I'm guilty of this as well. This is more impotence signaling. It's too expensive means I'm too poor to buy it. I'm too poor to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's what a woman hears. If as a man you say, oh, this is really expensive. Oh, I don't want to do that because it's too expensive. A woman hears, I'm a broke loser. That's what she should hear. Because that should be the motivation that you need to not be a broke loser. Women being gold diggers is a feature, not a bug. Kyle says he'll have all those porn memories to keep him company, though. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Logan Daly says parenthood seems like a great, albeit difficult honor. It is, completely. You know, when you...
It's not even that hard, okay? You just give them an iPad and you put them in the corner and you just...
if they get annoying, you just hit them a couple of times and they'll
yeah,
cry,
just
but
whack
they'll
them with
go
a phone book.
Out of arm's reach.
Shut the door. Throw a pillow over them.
Shut it on their fingers, ideally.
Yeah, make them take a nap. Just like hold the pillow there until they fall asleep.
Still they stop moving. One thing that I realized really shortly after my son was born was that becoming there's let's see, infant, so maybe like newborn, infant, toddler, child, adolescent, teenager, young adult, and we just kind of leave it there. But there's another step beyond adult, another step of human maturation, and that's parent. When you become a parent, you are forced to mature in ways that you aren't as just an adult. That's not to say that adults who don't have children, for one reason or another, are developmentally stunted. There's plenty of adults who don't have children and never have children, and there's other ways for you to have children, spiritual children. But there's a developmental thing that happens to you when you become a parent where you start reliving your own childhood and understanding and having takeaways of things from your childhood that you didn't have before. You sort of like integrate your childhood in a different way because you're now watching this little person experiencing life as a child, and you see yourself in that little person, and you see that the way that little person experiences life, and you realize, oh man, I did this once upon a time. All this stuff that seems just like trite or mundane to me.
Yeah, like climbing on
the first time, and it blows his mind. Well, that happened to me once upon a time.
Climbing on the furniture and knocking over the lamp and hurting your elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming to me and acting like it's my problem when I told you don't do that. Yeah. It's my problem that you hurt your elbow and knocked over the lamp. Really? Grow up. You got another thing coming, kid. You're on your own.
Amy texted me earlier and said that Eastwood has so Eastwood is very if he gets hurt or something bad happens to him, he is indignant as all hell at all of reality for daring to inconvenience him. And so when he's done stuff before, he's gotten a consequence. Like there was language like, if you keep doing this, you're going to get a consequence. Do you want that consequence? No? Okay, well, then stop doing it. Well, now when we do something that he doesn't like, he gives us consequences. So earlier today, he was in the car with Amy, and she says he gave me a consequence of no YouTube, and he's mad at me because I don't care. So he told Amy, your consequence is going to be you don't get to watch YouTube, because this is one of the consequences he gets when he's being an asshole. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, I'm supposed to be mad about that. And he was mad at her for not being mad about getting a consequence. Children are little terrorists, man. But this would be like Child Jack. Like they do something where you're like, you little asshole.
Like laying on the floor at a new church going, ah!
Ah! Shut up, kid. Don't embarrass us in front of the Romanians. But you love them for it. Kids are assholes, and you get to experience being an asshole, and it's a great thing.
And you get to laugh about it.
Uh-huh. Oh, there was something else I saw here. Jeff said, Cooper just nailed it without realizing it. The pickup artist crowd started using Red Pill, but it wasn't the same as Yarvin. Yeah. Red Pill has two different connotations.
I'm aware. Yeah, I was aware of that.
Yeah.
That's why I made the differentiation.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Because I know it's that. Yeah, because it's. Well, he said you nailed it without realizing it. No, I did realize it. Oh, that's what I'm saying.
So there was something else we were talking about today. We gotta wrap up here a little shortly. We can't do a 2-hour show because I got too much to do.
Oh really? We're not okay.
Yeah. But there was something else we were talking about today, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was. And then I texted you and asked you if you remembered, and you gave me the best response possible. He said, the paradox between boomer idealism and boomer paranoia vis-a-vis space-age utopianism juxtaposed over atomic-era agitprop. Something like that. I was like, oh, yeah. Something like that. How did we get into that earlier when we were talking about it earlier? It was boomer idealism versus boomer paranoia. Boomer idealism was
well, I think it came off of like the discussion of the Fallout series where I was kind of talking about like, oh, it's kind of this, you have this at the beginning, you kind of have this campy sort of idealistic view of the world. And
yeah. So you were describing how there's this like sort of campy, like gung-ho, we're going to take back America kind of, we're like space age utopianism. And this was something that characterized the like 1950s, 1960s, some of this really campy propaganda. That was a characteristic of the boomer mentality. So that gave them this sort of natural, idealistic, utopian bent. Shout out Logan Daly, gifted 5 memberships to the Kingpilled. Welcome, Kate J, Euthanasia, SB, Sanji Vinsmoke, and Zach Jerko. Welcome to the Kingpilled. And thank you, Logan Daly. You are awesome.
Hey, the Fallout Logan. The Fallout show was not that bad.
He must have missed the first part of the show where you were saying it actually was better than you expected.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that. He was describing to me. I've been aware of the Fallout games. I had a roommate that used to play them, but I've never really played them myself. And so I guess for those who don't know, just give a quick synopsis of the story, like what the premise is.
The Fallout universe takes place in kind of an alternate timeline reality, kind of breaking off from the 1950s is kind of the aesthetic. So there's a war between America and the Reds over in China, and then the whole world is frickin' nuked, and there's a bunch of people who live in these vaults, which are giant underground silos, and those are and then there's some people on the surface who survived, and it's a big irradiated wasteland. Everything's all bleak and drab, and a lot of dark humor, and that's kind of the gist. That's the gist. Bunch of like irradiated monsters and mutants and shit that you get to blow up.
So all the people who are inside the silos they all have this very gung-ho
American
sort of
dream, sort of.
campy American dream, like, oh, we're gonna get up there and we're gonna repopulate the world, and that's
We're gonna
sort
go
of
teach.
propaganda.
We're gonna go like tame the savages who have been up there, drinking mud water and surviving, and we're gonna teach. We're gonna bring democracy to them and
And
capitalism.
I'm guessing they have no idea just how bad it actually is, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
just
not at
how-
all. Because basically you take like 1950s propaganda and now just like put that in a time capsule, and then you have 200 years of people being subjected to that. So they're still under they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna leave the vault someday, and we're gonna go reclaim the wasteland and teach all these people how to be good Americans.
Uh-huh. So as he was describing this to me, I said, this is really interesting because the fact that you would see that kind of propaganda as campy is actually interesting, given that a couple decades ago, it was sort of normal. Like, this was the way people thought. Like, the average person actually saw the world in these sort of gung-ho, American patriotic, campy sort of overtones.
Logan, did you watch all of season 1? Yeah, it starts off with a chick who thinks she's great at everything, and then she leaves the vault and finds out that she is not good at anything, and everything wants to kill her. That's kind of the thing.
Oh, he deleted
He
deleted the message.
You retracted your message, coward. Stand by your words.
Backtracker. So it's interesting with the boomers. So they have this sort of like really bizarre utopian idealism. Yet they also have this extreme paranoia from being people who were born in a Cold War environment and grew up hiding under desks with nuclear sirens going off. Like that does something to someone psychologically. The idea that there's going to be a nuclear strike that's going to vaporize everything, and this is the way basically it's sold to them. Everything's going to all be irradiated, and like hiding under your desk is going to do something in that case. But this is the propaganda that they were fed. So on one hand, they have this really optimistic utopian idealism. On the other hand, they have this really dark, paranoid insecurity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this has colored the way their entire generation has behaved. On one hand, they're like, max out the prosperity sliders at any cost necessary. But then on the flip side, it's like, no, we can't retire. No, we can't let go. No, we can't sell our business. No, we can't. Like, we have to be kind of, bring everything in, pull it all in. Give me all the resources. I need all my Social Security. I need all of my Medicare. I need all of my entitlements. I need all my retirement. I need everything. Give it all to me. I need it all. I need it all. I need it all. The world's going to go to hell in a handbasket, but hey, at least I'll be all right. I got my retirement. I've got my retirement home. I've got everything saved up and ready to go when I retire. My kids are going to have to fend for themselves. Ha ha ha. They're going to have to build it up like I did.
Mm-hmm.
This is both of these visions encountering in one like weird schizo personality that both thinks everything is infinite number go up forever, but also we have to absolutely destroy everyone else's future to ensure that our number does go up. And you guys got to fend for yourselves. You guys got to figure it out for yourself. I think this is a really interesting paradox. And I think it's also very informative as to how the boomers are going to behave, how they are behaving, how they're going to continue to behave, but also what's going to happen when that mentality dies off. When the boomer mentality is gone, which is still probably going to take, 20 years, because a lot of the old Gen Xers are very boomer-like themselves. But when that mentality goes away, and you no longer have these dueling forces present, the mainstream view or zeitgeist is going to be very different. I think a lot of people make the mistake of treating the zeitgeist as a constant. And the zeitgeist is not a constant, it's a variable. Once upon a time, all of that hokey, campy propaganda was not hokey, campy propaganda.
It's amazing to me that it's amazing to me that there was people who ever took that seriously.
I can believe it. Like I grew up believing a lot of it. just kind of because it was just sort of the water that I swam in.
Mm-hmm. The remnants of a high trust society, I suppose.
Uh-huh. But what's interesting here is the way that I think this was kind of the big aha moment that I had when we were talking about this earlier. That propaganda was really effective on the boomers. And because of the effectiveness of that propaganda, the boomers were turned from, they could have been the insecure, fearful little children huddled under their desks exclusively and not had the idealistic utopian vision of the world. They could have been an incredibly unproductive, incompetent, fearful generation. Instead, they were an incredibly productive, competent, fearful generation. But it kind of makes me think about that propaganda in a different way. Yes, it was propaganda. Yes, it had a lot of negative effects. Yes, it wasn't real. But also, because of that propaganda, that generation wound up being incredibly productive. I think a lot of it was fake productivity, but it was still productivity on a certain level. So I think I guess you can't take the like, just because something is propaganda doesn't mean it's bad or fake. It could still be real. The people who buy the propaganda and act according to the propaganda are going to inform something that looks approximately like the thing that the propaganda is creating or is portraying, because people begin following that propaganda. So you can look at the propaganda that we have today and you can use that to kind of chart a course forward. But it also means that if you start listening to different propaganda, because it's all propaganda, that's I think that's the thing you were talking the other day about the art, about the Zoomer reaction to art being really jaded about being sold stuff all the time and everything just being like pure propaganda. That's kind of because, in a sense, all art is propaganda. Anytime someone creates art, they're propagandizing their vision of the world.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Persuasive, compelling way.
I don't know about that. I don't. I guess it depends how you define these things. I wouldn't say all art is propaganda. I don't know that I would say that.
I will.
Okay, well, you're wrong.
Logan Daly says, might campy propaganda be more effective as people get propagandized without taking it seriously as propaganda? I think there's something to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also, so like,
dude, that atomic age like propaganda is so fun.
Being able,
I wish that was kind of the world we lived in to some extent. It seemed like you got rock and roll, you got Elvis and pompadours and, drive-in diners and shit like that. And, oh, we're going to the moon, bro! And yeah, it seems exciting.
And you can LARP these things into reality. You can become the propaganda that you want to see. Because that's the thing with this stuff, is even if it's fake, if you begin acting like it's real, then it's going to become real on some level. So like if the wife jack meme. The wife jack meme began as a way of appreciating how sweet and simple and wholesome women are. And if you continue using that meme that way and people look at it that way and they interact with it that way, they will begin to appreciate how sweet and simple and wholesome women are. That's why you have the cynics and the nihilists have to put their stamp on it. Because intuitively they get, if we allow this propaganda, because that's what wife jack is. Wife jack is a form of propaganda. If we allow this propaganda to exist and allow people to express the idea that being married is both exasperating and wholesome and charming at the same time, then more people will believe that. more people will get married. More people will see marriage in a positive light. More people will want it. And if I'm a cynical, nihilistic GOONUCH, I don't want that. I want everyone to be as bitter and vengeful and cynical and impotent as I am. Because then I'll feel justified in being that way. Look, everyone else is like me too. See, I'm just normal. It's normal to be this way. I don't need to change. I can just settle back into my vices and just lean into them because that's what everyone else is doing. So Josh Ham says, judge in Trump trial told Trump he will go to prison if Trump goes to his son's graduation. Barron is going to be so vengeful. I hope Trump tests this ruling. Make them imprison you. Be the martyr. Hell yeah. I need to know more about that story. Maybe that's what our next episode will be about. Punchy says icons equals righteous propaganda. Yeah. 2-Bit Podcast says all art is rhetoric.
See, that's where I disagree. This like I don't think art is propaganda per se. Because if propaganda is like, you can think of propaganda as like a like a systematic propagation of a particular like agenda or like a doctrine or a cause or against one. Usually political, not always political, but like if you're making art for the sake of, I don't know, beauty and truth or art itself, like the joy of painting or something, I don't think that's necessarily propaganda per se.
So, looking at the most reliable source on the internet, Wikipedia,
Nice.
says propaganda is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda, which may not be objective and may be selectively presenting facts to encourage a particular synthesis or perception, or using loaded language to produce an emotional rather than a rational response to the information that is being presented. In the 20th century, the English term propaganda was often associated with a manipulative approach, but historically, propaganda has been a neutral descriptive term of any material that promotes certain opinions or ideologies. So I think that's probably where we're parting here, is you're using the more 20th century connotation of propaganda, and I'm using the more historical.
Whatever you say, yeah, you want to come on, okay, yeah, we're both right. That's right, whatever.
That's right, yeah. The etymology of it, propaganda is a modern Latin word, the neuter plural gerundive form of propagare, meaning to spread or to propagate. Thus, it means the things which are to be propagated. Originally, this word derived from a new administrative body of the Catholic Church created in 1622 as part of the Counter-Reformation, called the Congregatio de Propaganda Fide, or informally simply propaganda. Its activity was aimed at propagating the Catholic faith in non-Catholic countries. So in that sense, like icons are righteous propaganda, because what is one of the purposes of an icon? It's to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda which may not be objective and may be selectively presenting facts to encourage a particular synthesis or perception. The random username says, if icons are propaganda and humans are icons of God, humans are propaganda, but for who? There's your big brain thought of the day.
Nice.
For whom are you propaganda? Yeah. Yeah, random username. Why are you smoking weed?
Yeah.
You get to decide. Logan Daly says we must decide what we are propaganda for. Yes. Your life is propaganda.
This frickin' chair, dude. I don't get it. It leans back sometimes and then it locks up for no reason, and then I sit here rocking, trying to get it to rock back.
Gotta start your stimming. You gotta get like they like flap. I don't know how they do it. They like flap their fingers so they can sort of like clap their fingers against their palms. But I can't, like, my fingers don't work that way. Maybe it's because my fingers work. Magoo says, don't let the chair win, Coop.
Oh, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to break it.
Anywho, well, that was about all I had here today. This is pretty good stream, I think. Kyle, Base Fat Chad, says the Discord is worth every damn penny. Thank you, sir. Joshua Ham says, all of you plebs should pay them the money and join us in the Discord server where you two may network and gain valuable intel. Absolutely. Kingpill.com. Go sign up. Go join the Kingpill Discord. We got a great group of people in there. I can hardly keep up with it anymore. I've made a point that I will read every single message someone posts in there. But it's taken me longer and longer and longer to keep up because we got so many people in there.
You can't, dude. You just got to jump on and pick it up wherever it's at.
I'm going to have to do that eventually, yeah, because we're getting so many people in there and everybody's super chatty and got all kinds of different threads with all kinds of different subjects going all the time. But it's my favorite place on the internet. All of my favorite people are all gathered in there, posting wholesome stuff, entertaining stuff, educational stuff, all sorts of things.
Schizo stuff.
We have a meme thread. The meme thread has banger memes. And we've got some great schizos in there too. They post some great schizo content.
You see, random username, the point of not being able to speak at the lowest tier is to encourage them to go to a higher tier.
Yes, right. We want you to go to the higher tier.
We want more money.
The way you should look at this is the lowest tier is an olive branch, because normally the price point, the barrier to get in would be the middle tier or the higher tier. Like those would be your options. But we've created a carve out with a lower tier for people who just want to come in and hang out. They don't necessarily want to talk on the voice chats. They just want to consume. Yes. If you want to produce, if you want to actually contribute to the conversation, then the barrier is a little bit higher because we believe in immigration controls. We want to make sure this is a high quality community full of people who have a vested interest in being there, and they're not there to black pill or derail or post shit or whatever. We want high quality people. And so far, it's definitely working out because we got some high quality people in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you, folks. Thank you for showing up for the
yeah,
show
as
today.
Josh Ham says, because if you're so poor that you can't afford it, then you probably don't have quality input.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Step one, don't be poor.
Yeah, we're going back to the thing that made Matt famous all those years ago. Stop being poor.
Oh, those were the days, man. Stop being poor. It was really funny how that just triggered the hell out of people. They got so mad.
Especially libertarians, who are supposed to be, the staunch capitalists.
Right. That's what I was still like a diehard libertarian at the time when I said it, and I didn't expect people to get all panties in a twist about it. I just kind of said it as just in the middle of a rant, and that's the thing everyone fixated on, which, me being me, as soon as you start freaking out at me about something that I said, I'm going to say it louder and more. Matt's been pissing people off for years. That's right. That's my specialty. Okay, I got to get out of here. Speaking of not being poor, I got to do a whole bunch of stuff. So, thank you guys for showing up. Please like the stream, share it with someone, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Go to the 2-Bit podcast. I had a great conversation a few days ago. I don't remember when it was. It's all been a blur. But I had a great conversation with Jason and Kyle, based Fat Chad. We had a great talk. Go check that out. And then got a couple other interesting conversations coming up here pretty soon with some people you might know. So
I'm looking pretty jacked in this shirt, I must say.
Cooper is proud of his muscles.
I am. Hey, Kyle, Mr. Based Fat Chad. When are you going to become Mr. Based Jack Chad?
Mm-hmm. He's got to get through his keto phase first. He's using the keto phase to cut everything down, but then we're going to start reintroducing carbs. He doesn't know this yet, but we're going to start reintroducing carbs, and we're going to get him peating in no time. Don't tell him, though. We got to spring it on
doing the
later.
keto thing. I got it. We've all been there.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I did the keto thing.
Yeah. Nothing
that idiot.
Special about it now.
He didn't know anything.
He says he's ready to peat. Excellent. Well, we will help you out when you're ready to peat. All right, I gotta go. Thank you for showing up, guys. Appreciate you all.
They call me Tallahassee Pete. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I like carbs.
Ah, I get it. Thank you for that, Cooper.